Die, die, I know, die, die, I know, die, die, I know, die, I know, die, I know. Everybody, die, die, I know, die, die, I know, die, die, I know, die, I know, die, I know. You know what that means? It's Passover! That's right, Passover's coming up next week. What's it all about? What's going on Passover that makes it so great? You know, Passover happens to be one of the greatest times of the year, but it's also started out way back in Egypt. It was one of the worst things that ever happened. There was division amongst the Jewish people. We were really Hebrews back then. We weren't really the Jewish people till we stood at Sinai and got the Torah, right? God talked and all that kind of stuff. I'll talk about it in Shavuos. Wait 7 weeks. Okay, so here we are. There's division in Egypt. The Hebrews didn't want to leave Egypt. They didn't want to follow Moses. They didn't want to go out there, even though the plagues were raining down. It was frogs and hail and all kinds of crazy stuff. And they didn't want to leave. Why not? What was so great about being in Egypt? They were enslaved in Egypt, weren't they? Aha. This is going to be a hint to get us to the deeper lesson of what Pesach's really all about. What is Passover about? So Passover is called the Zman Cherusenu, the time of our freedom. Passover is known all throughout the world as the freedom holiday. Let freedom ring! Ring freedom! What's freedom? So freedom, we have to figure out what it really is. Judaism teaches something very specific about freedom. Freedom is the ability to be as great as you were intended to be. It's not the freedom to do what I want when I want to do it, because that really just means I'm enslaved to my desires or my emotions. No, freedom is that I can be in tune with my greatness and accentuate it in everything that I do. That's the freedom that we're being taught. So what was going on with all those Hebrews, the Hebrews that were over there in Egypt? Why didn't they want to leave? Because they were enslaved to a mentality of materialism and physicality. They liked the chariots. They liked those cool sandals with the leather straps that the Egyptians wore. Those were cool. They also got into some of the far out ideas of the Egyptian people, and they liked it, and they became enslaved by it. Only those that 20%, shocking isn't it, that 20% of the Hebrew people that left, those are the people that were free. Those are the people that freed themselves from the shackles of materialism, from environmentalism, that just being apart, thinking that environment's all it's at. Those were them. Those were the people that were free. Those people who stood at Sinai afterwards, who went through the desert, who ate the man, who ate the matzah, right? They baked that matzah fast. They needed something to eat. Matzah's a whole other lesson. It was those people. So it really started out on a sad point. We lost 80% of the Jewish people that could have been. So what's the celebration all about? The celebration is that our ancestors, they left Egypt. And the Haggadah teaches us every year in the Seder, the story we tell tells us that we left. That through they leaving, we left. We left with them. It was a spectacular time for our people. We had the wherewithal, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to step out of the comfort of knowing what was going to befall us. Step out of the comfort of understanding our surroundings. To step out of the comfort of at least knowing who our enemies were. They stepped out of all of that and left. And went on to become our ancestors, the Jewish people. The people that we're carrying on, the torch that they set forward. So freedom. Freedom is this idea that we can all touch. We can all touch figuring out how to get the most out of our lives, how to become great. That's what we're supposed to be in this world, nothing less. We have the next week, starting with Passover next Monday night. We have the next week coming up to think about that intently. To think about intently, am I being as great as I was intended to be? I was intended for greatness. I was intended to help the world. Am I doing it? Am I stuck? Am I not fulfilling my potential? You think about these things on Pesach, on Passover, and ultimately, in a week's time, we'll reach a whole other level of our own personal existence that's going to affect the whole world and truly be freeing. And we'll be singing, Die, die, no, die, die, no, die, die, no, die, no, die, no. Have a great Passover.